The Bills make me wanna kick your heels up and shout.
I still don't know why you play all of them. Why do you?
Mother of God.
Mother of God is right, Paul. As hashtag Nation, we are here once again, Paul and Mario, your two co-pilots for tonight. Gonna be try to see if we can try. I don't know, Paul. What do you think? What do you think we could rationalize something that's we tried to rationalize during the post game. It didn't work. There's been a lot of calls for Dable's head. McDermott's walking out of press conferences annoyed. Hey, Evan Anderson, Elliott, and the boys, booyah! But it's just should we deal with the elephant in the room right away, right out of the gate?
How big an elephant are we talking about here, Mark? Because there's several different things that we could talk about.
We're talking about the 3rd and 4 elephant that the pitcher made its way around Twitter, made its way around Facebook.
Yeah, we might as well, right?
Farner's here. Yeah. Yes, it's a miracle. Farner's here. Daniel, we got everybody up in this piece, and we love it. So thank you, hashtag Nation, for joining us. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and ride with us. We have a lot of fun giveaways coming out very, very soon. I didn't mean to cut you off, Paul, but I'm a little annoyed both at the loss and this No Shave November chaos. So
yeah, I do not prescribe to the Movember thing. I definitely am going to shave. I cannot have a mustache. If I have a mustache, people are going to start posting pictures of me on telephone poles around their neighborhood. I don't need any of that in my life. So,
oh my God, Mother of God. That would
Mother of God.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is.
I'm gonna have the Lemmy very soon. I'm just gonna do the Lemmy for a week. Let's see if I can pull it off.
I remember my dad when he was in his 60s brought back the Fu Manchu that he had when I was 7. It did not look the same.
Chad.
Dad, what are you doing? He shaved his head right around the same time. My dad's got like a full head of hair, like glorious hair for somebody in his 70s, just full glorious hair.
And, Chad come in, Graziano. He said, Arizona Bills lifer saying hello and thank you for the Bills talk without all the hate lately. Well, it's tough. It's tough because usually, Paul, when we're objective, we get called out for being negative, and it's tough.
Yeah, not Billsy enough, right? Yeah, I get that. I was asked about what kind of weird drink do I have tonight. Well, tonight it is Sprite's limited edition winter spiced cranberry. It just tastes like Sprite with a little bit of cranberry. It's really not. It's just fine. It's fine.
I don't know you. I really don't.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that 3rd and 4th.
Let's talk about the 3rd and 4th because it's crazy.
There was that, and for those of you who are not on Twitter, the picture of the picture cycling around, about multiple. Actually, there are multiple pictures cycling around, but for those of you who did not see it, Mario will, I'm sure, bring it up, and let's talk, shall we? Let's talk.
Yes, the 3rd and 4 where Beasley was wide open, and then they were blitzing off of that side. A lot of conflicting reports and a lot of people that are on Twitter and on Facebook going on. He couldn't see him. He didn't have time. What was going on? Why were they huddling beforehand? Why were they playing for 3? That's a defeatist attitude. A bunch of other stuff going on with the play itself. Usually, I'm just going to say from a quarterback's perspective, if someone's blitzing you, if they're bringing pressure off of one side, you have a hot route. And that means is that the receiver is going to replace where the defender just vacated, that zone he just vacated. However, in this particular scenario, I believe Allen made up his mind pre-snap rather than post-snap. Like, because there's pre-snap and post-snap. A lot of people need to realize this very quick. Pre-snap read and a post-snap read. All right, so once the pre-snap read is done, okay, listen, I think this guy may be open. And then when the ball is snapped, sometimes guys shift, some guys move. You don't know, you guessed the coverage wrong or something like that. Then there's a post-snap read. A lot of the post-snap reads are not happening. And he's going with his pre-snap read, and some of those are not very good. That whole drive, I just watched it before we went live here, Paul. Beasley was open every play. Every single play, Beasley was open. So,
And don't think like that won't be seen in the that. Don't think like that
Oh, he'll see
hasn't
it.
already been noticed,
Mhm.
right? They know it. They know it.
Elliott comes in. Allen was blitzed off the left side. He threw to Brown, who was balling, before he had a chance to see Beasley. Um, I mean, that's a fair point. I mean, you can't expect a guy for 58 minutes who's been doing one thing the entire game and probably his entire career, uh, just to do something completely different in the last 2 minutes just because a guy was open. You know what I mean? It's tough, but it's part of the development of Allen. Um, what I've noticed too, Paul, and I know I'm just hogging all the mic right now, but the one thing that I've noticed from a personal standpoint, I know it's very different in the NFL. When I would be in shotgun as a quarterback, the timing for everything that I did was always different than when I dropped back. When you drop back from under center and you're able to set up, you do a 5-step drop, you allow those guys to get in their routes, the timing of it is so much crisper, in my opinion. If you're just catching the ball from shotgun, you're already back there. Those guys aren't even off the line yet. So a lot of the reads he's coming off early are when he's in shotgun. You see a lot of the times when he's doing play action, timing of the routes looks so much more crisp. And I think that could be a thing that goes on maybe in the upcoming weeks where they put him under center a little bit more. What is that going to do though? It's going to hurt Singletary because he's used to getting the ball out of shotgun. So if you want to run the ball, you want to do it out of shotgun. If you want Allen to throw better, you tend to put him under center. However, that makes you predictable once again. So
Well, and Singletary saw a lot of those looks from shotgun because that's really the way he got a majority of his carries in college, right? So that's kind of what we are used to as far as the looks from Devin Singletary, right? That's the look that he got in college most often.
Yep.
So that's that. I mean, I think that kind of fits where the look that he would be most familiar with. What I want to take a look at before we get going on any of that is Josh Allen under center versus play action, right? Because play action game is a very, very important thing to the Bills offense. Allen does it really well, but it's not something that they've really utilized, in my opinion, effectively. So let me give you an example, right?
Yeah.
Allen has attempted 227 passes so far in non-play action, right? He's attempted 57 passes in play action. Now, huge variance.
Absolutely.
There,
No
right?
question.
That's a big difference. Allen has thrown 6 touchdown passes on his 227 attempts in non-play action. He's thrown 4 touchdown passes in his 57 attempts.
Wow.
Now, mind you, his completion percentage is 13% higher when he's in play action. He's throwing for 70% completion percentage versus 57%. Sack rating is not even remotely close. His quarterback rating is like 40 points difference. He's taken 20 sacks in non-play action situations, only 2 in play action.
Yeah.
That enough to me is to tell you that there's not enough of the there's just not enough. He also hasn't thrown an interception off play action all season. So that just tells me alone that the play action game has to be a major focus. It has to be a major focus moving forward. Now, with that being said, I know you said you'd like to see him under center a little bit more. Maybe that's something that we see. Allen has only attempted 61 passes this whole season under center. That's it.
Predictable.
223 of them from shotgun.
Yeah.
Predictable.
Yeah, it's predictable.
Right? Predictable.
I was just speaking at it coming from the standpoint of just timing on the routes. Now, let me ask you this, Paul.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw this one to you. Play action versus non-play action under center. You said all the differences in there as well. Could it be that the play action is moving guys out of zones where he's able to find other guys to hit, whereas when it's non-play action, he's not moving guys with his eyes like he should?
Well, I mean, if you go back and watch the Cleveland game, he does really try to scan the field. You know, there's a lot of places you can go back and you can see him try and scan the field. But I think the difference is that when he's scanning the field, he's looking to see who's open. And here's my major contention with this offense is that it is so complex with the routes that the receivers have to run. And the fact that the receivers can change their routes, there's a ton of read routes built into this offense.
Yeah.
When John Brown says it's the most complex offense he's ever been in, and Bruce Arians is the other comparison.
Yes.
Like, here's where I'm going to put this, and you guys tell me whether this sounds crazy or not. The offense that Carson Palmer ran was simpler from a wide receiver perspective than the offense that Josh Allen is running. Does that sound logical to you? Because it doesn't sound all that logical to me. I understand Bruce Arians is an offensive-minded head coach. Brian Dable is still trying to put his stamp on the league to kind of overcome a lot of the reputation that he has of being sort of a middling offensive coordinator. I understand that there's a difference. When you lay it out on the table and John Brown says, no, this is the hardest offense I've run in from a route concept perspective, that tells me a lot about what they're trying to make Allen do versus what Allen's probably most successful at. And I don't really think they're using Allen's abilities because, again, they've only attempted, 61 passes out of play action? That's not enough for me.
No.
That's just not enough.
No, and it was our friend Ryan Lasel over on the Huddle show that he had this week. He said, listen, you do not need to run the ball or establish the run for play action to work. I think him and I may stand on opposite sides of that, because if you're not fearful of the run at all, then why would play action work at all? You just take it. You're limiting what the quarterback has to read. Like in most play action plays anyway, you're limiting his reads for him. All right. You're trying to move guys with the action of the run to try to open up certain things on the back end. And for those of you that like the Friday film session, I'm double dipping. My brother's going to actually come back and do it this Friday once again. He's going to break down the Browns game, and we're going to break down Miami as well. But it does bring up a level of concern. Now, the other comparison that I've been hearing for the last few days has been Lamar Jackson. And, the narrative that's been going around with Lamar Jackson is that, hey, you see what happens when an offensive coordinator builds an offense around the quarterback's strengths and doesn't try to put a square peg in a round hole. Well, my response to that is Dable's trying to install a system, a knockoff system, pretty much. I mean, I know that's kind of harsh to say that, but he's trying to install a system that the Patriots ran to perfection. And their quarterback has been there for 19 years. The model that's set up in Baltimore, I don't think is a very long, sustainable model for Lamar Jackson. I don't think having your quarterback run almost 8 to 10 times a game, and some of these guys are going to catch up to him in a few years. They haven't yet. We know how savvy defensive coordinators are when players hit their second or third year. It's a crapshoot sometimes. So I think from a longevity standpoint, the offense that Dable wants to run with Allen, he can run forever. However, it's just not clicking now for some reason. Now, I have my opinions. What are your opinions about why this is taking so long to click?
Well, there's a lot of factors at play, right? First off, I think the thing that kind of gets me most is the fact that there's some things that I think Allen would be solid in running, right? He seems to be comfortable when put under pressure, right? From a pace standpoint. Pace doesn't seem to bother Allen. And you can see some quarterbacks get flustered there. Pace doesn't really seem to bother him too much. And Chad Graziano calls it out. He says, run the K gun. Well, now the K gun, and let's just call it what it is. The K gun was a Jim Kelly centered offense.
Yes.
Right? Kelly was making the calls there. This wasn't a let's communicate. There were no microphones in the helmet then. Like, that's not what happened. That was a Jim Kelly run offense. And you can't ask Josh Allen to do that at this point. But the thing that gets me the most about it is I see Allen oftentimes like on the RPO concepts. I think it's a good example. If you watch the Cleveland game, he pulls back on a couple RPO concepts to keep it himself that were just the wrong call, right? He is more likely to give the ball to himself than he is any of his playmakers. And I guess that's kind of where I'm struggling the most with this offense is I need a quarterback who is confident in his offense. And I'm not really sure if Allen's there from a trust perspective with anybody not named John Brown.
Yeah. I mean, the trust has been a big word that I've been using for about the past 2 or 3 weeks. And I've been using it a lot. And I don't think Allen trust a lot of the things that he sees. I don't think he trusts the call. And
Are you saying he's seeing ghosts?
no, we're past Halloween. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
I tried.
They are who we thought they were. We let them off the hook. I don't think that I don't think the staff either really trusts him. Now, we had a comment in the, what happened to the bombs to Foster? Grendel comes in. What happens to the bombs to Foster? Well, a lot of things that were going on last year. Allen kind of shocked everybody with his legs last year. So the next logical step is to try to get a guy to beat you within the pocket. And involved in that as well is blitzing the guy. How does he handle pressure? Okay, we're gonna play man. We're gonna play a drop zone over here. We're gonna do a bunch of different things. And he's not figured it out yet. So a lot of the teams are like saying, well, this is working against Allen. It's keeping him in the pocket. And I can tell you right now that having the hit against New England, where he was in protocol, some of the hits maybe he took last year, them trying to coach that out of him. Listen, don't run as much. I saw probably 5 or 6 times in the Browns game where he would have pumped and went, and then he just threw the ball. And it was either incomplete or it was a wobbly pass or something like that. I think it was great because in the press conference today, he said, well, he's not going to play reckless, but they just said he's got to play a little bit more loose. And I 100% agree. I mean, his talents are in improvisation. Will he make mistakes? Yeah, but if that's the horse you're riding, then ride that horse, because he'll break off a 50-60 yarder with his legs and then throw a 70-yarder. True, he hasn't completed any deep because no one plays him deep anymore. Like, listen, until you start completing these, we're not going to cover it. And he has an offense that is a nickel and dime, dink and dunk offense. I mean, it's sad to say that this offense, that's the EP system, was created with the mantra, pass to score, run to win. And they're not doing either.
Right.
So
yeah, it's frustrating, right? Because it seems like when it seems to be very telegraphed when the Bills have the intention of running the football, right? And the Cleveland game, I think, got away from them, right? I don't really think they intended to throw 41 times in that game. But Dable said in a press conference, well, they had 8 in the box. We can't run against that. Why not?
Yeah,
if they've got 8 in the box, then you should be able to get McKenzie on the outside, right? You run these jet concepts. You should have been able to get somebody to the outside eventually, right? They got 8 in the box. That means what we saw what happened with Miami. Remember when Miami rushed 8 on, oh God, who the hell were they playing? Maybe Pittsburgh? Yeah, it was Pittsburgh. And all Mason Rudolph had to do was just take the ball and just go, like to Deontay Johnson, he ran like 50 yards for a touchdown. Like, it's when teams are putting 8 in the box, they're giving you the answer to the test. They're telling you, go ahead and try and run it. Go ahead. And you still have to try. Like, you can't just say, well, nope, 8 in the box, tapping out here.
I don't know. I don't know.
I
don't know about that. I don't know about still rushing when you have 8 in the box. What I disagreed with his comment was, well, they were doing some things that made us hard for us to run the ball. You were still getting 5 yards a clip. How hard was it to run the ball? Mm-hmm. You were still getting 5 yards a clip with your quarterback sprinkled in there for a couple of runs as well. You were still able to run the ball, and you were not out of it to the point where you had to throw 41 times. You didn't.
Right.
That is conceding defeat without even trying. That is like they're stacking the box against us. Let's just throw all the time. What?
Right.
That shows me.
That's what they want. That's what they want you to do.
That shows a lack of adjustments on my part. My opinion, my vantage point is you failed to adjust to the scheme that's being played against you. Now, a lot of the people that have problems with Daboll have, why did he call this? Why did he call that? And I took my foot off the gas with Daboll. Paul, you know this. I mean, I've after watching a lot of the film that I've watched, I've taken my foot off the gas because a lot of guys are open. I see guys that are open, and Allen's missing them. In other cases, he's calling plays that I don't even know where he got them. It's kind of a mixed bag at this point, whether it's on Allen, whether it's on Daboll. So like I said, I can't assign 100% of the blame, but those are things that I have problems with him. Not necessarily just play calling, like X's and O's play calling. I'm talking about you have them huddle when the clock is running down and you got the defense on their heels. You just drove almost, you drove down quite a bit, and you're doing that. You're conceding defeat by not running the ball at all when you're getting 5 yards a clip. I have a problem with that, and I just don't understand why it has to manifest that way. Now, you think that the people in Buffalo are the only ones seeing these press conferences?
Right.
If you don't think everybody that they face from now on is going to put 8 in the box and force Allen to throw, you're nuts.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Kevin Barbado says Dable is totally in Allen's head and not in a good way.
No.
This is a very different quarterback than we saw last season, right? And understand that the situation that Allen was put in last year, he kind of had to make it up as we went along because the talent level kind of speaks for itself. The entire offense was replaced, like with near no exception. Outside of your left tackle, the entire offense was replaced, right? Robert Foster went from your number 2 to your number 5 or 6, depending on who's active that game. Zay Jones was your number 1 receiver last year. He's gone. LaShawn McCoy, you released. Like, up and down, everything is very, very different. But the thing that gets me most about this entire situation, right, is I think that 3rd and 4 play is a perfect microcosm, right? It was the perfect opportunity for Allen to say, all right, I can literally take best available here, right? And Brian Dable said in a press conference, the reason that Allen was targeting Brown with the game on the line after they huddled with a minute left was because Brown was in single coverage, right? That's why he went to Brown, because it was supposed to be a back shoulder throw that was just mistimed, right? And Brown was in single coverage because they had 3 men en route on the left-hand side. The counter to that, right, is a play that you and I talked about before we even went on it. And I would love to go over that right now, right? Because we can talk about play design all day long, but I'd like to actually show it if we can.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
I exited out of it.
Oh, did you?
I could go back to. Hold on, Paul. Hold on.
Okay.
I'll go back to it.
Okay.
While we try let's hit up some comments in the chat as well. Because I think
sure. Let me. I'll. A lot of people are talking about what the weather's like.
The weather, and they named about 17 past quarterbacks for the Bills. So that's the other. That's the other nugget.
Lightning says Dable is a god awful coach. Grendel says Allen always thinks to run first. Derek Jeffers agrees with Grendel there. John Calvin, we also missed 2 field goals, right? Has Hauschka been different since getting hurt? One of the things that we mentioned previously was there's also another variable there, and it's your holder who's also your punter. So, I mean, Hauschka's percentages have dropped the last 4 years. Like, that's just what it is, right? His field goal percentages have dropped the last 4 seasons. So you kind of have to start realistically looking at what your options are at kicker, right? But they haven't really realistically looked at their options at punter, so I can't really imagine that we're going to see a change there. I just don't see it happening. So Jeff Toole came up for some ungodly reason. I can't tell you what that is. Jack Patrick asked for Van Pelt back. Oh my God, please no. Can we not go back down that rabbit hole? Hen Dog says Hero Ball, Allen, and motor running loose plus R&D equals winning. You would think, right? So here's one thing that gets me a little bit, and I hate to even bring this up, but Howard Simon said it in a brief, it was kind of like a throwaway comment, but I thought what he said was actually really, really on point. And they never talked about it after that, which I suppose is no surprise. But here's what he said, and I want your opinion on this, Mar, because I thought this was very fascinating. He said, with the defense, as heralded as this one is, why do turnovers on your offense even scare you? If your defense is this good, why aren't you taking chances on offense? Why do you have to protect the football? How does that work for your defense? And for a moment there, I go, you know what? That actually makes a lot of sense. If you have a defense that can hold up, then why aren't you taking some chances on offense, right? You can afford to turn the ball over. you can afford to make mistakes, right? If your defense is as good as everybody says. But I'm almost concerned that this kind of slow plotting, because here's the thing with the Bills offense. Either they're 3 and out or they drive down the field. It's one of the two. But they don't drive down the field fast. They certainly take their time. But I thought the point was a very fascinating conversation piece.
Yeah, your screen froze, by the way. It's pretty hysterical. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, great.
I don't know. I probably when I exit out of this thing. Let me see if I can fix that. But the play you're talking about, on here. Let me flip to it. Okay, everyone wants to talk about how the Bills, got to go deep. You got to go deep. You got to go deep. This is a play where Allen throws. He throws down the left sideline to Foster. Okay, you see the safety flying out of there. That was his read. He ended up flying out of there. However, the other 4 guys, there's 5 guys in this route, which is very okay. It's a run set. Okay, you're throwing out of a run set to try to get him, try to get him out of there. However, the other 4 guys you have in this route is Gore, DeMarco, Knox, and Smith. Who's really the threat here?
Right. Well, especially when Robert Foster sees, near no snaps. I'll pull up Foster's snap count for the Cleveland game. I don't think it was much.
Yeah.
I'll pull that up right now.
Yeah, let me exit out of this, so maybe that'll free some stuff up for Paul. Unfortunately, he's yeah, you're frozen, big dog. You're frozen on me here.
See, it's
you there? Oh, he's gone. What had happened? See, what had happened was Paul is frozen, and I probably got to call him back. So, this is too much. I'll go to the chat for a little bit. Paul looks like he's about to sneeze. Jack Patrick, I go deep every night. Love it. Okay. Chad, are we going to talk about Allen's fumbles? Yeah, that is one issue, and we talked about it at the post game. It was kind of an issue that was going on. Paul's singing opera. Yes. Oh, the look on Paul's face is pretty hysterical. So let me call him back. Let me go to the thumbnail. So you guys, we'll just get the audio portion. You guys love a good podcast here. So we will. Let me call him right back, and then we'll be good to go on this. And I'll get off this Bills logo for you guys, and then he'll be back in here, and we'll see what's going on. But until then, please go into the. Please continue to hit up the chat. I'm going to try to answer as many questions as I can. I've got that screenshot of Paul living infamy. Yeah, you can just replay it. I'm calling him back, so if he happens to figure that out, we'll see. All right. So that's what happens. Look at a bad 80s video. Yeah, it is. Smash the like button now, guys. See how that goes. Hunter Smith, you made a great point, Mario. Maybe the plays that we call are fine, but the players involved are telegraphing where the ball's going. Yeah, like I'm not a, I don't have a problem with, you're out of a run set and you're trying to do something to that effect, and that is your goal in that respect, that you want to. Okay, they don't think we're going to do this, and this, so we'll see how it works. I'm not against that. Let me minimize this here. All right, the bad 80s video is going to continue when I get over here for you guys. All right. Well, you got just me for right now while I wait for Paul to answer his question or answer the phone, and then we'll go live with him as well. Does Allen lead the NFL in fumbles? I don't know. I'm not sure. I think he might. I don't know. He hasn't lost all of them. I know that. On that run set, what down was it, and how far to go? It was 1st and 10. They ran on a 1st and 10. So Ronald NX, thank you, sir. I think it's a lot. One of the things that it is with Allen with the fumbles, I think it's just it could be a byproduct of him thinking too much. He's not. Yes, last year he was so used to running and he wanted to just get off the ball and he wanted to get out of there and he was one reading out and doing all this other stuff. However, this year it's more of, okay, I have to try to be a quarterback now. I can't just run all over the field. I have to try to get all these reads. But when he does take off, sometimes when you take off, you're still holding the ball like you would hold it when you throw it. And when you tuck it in to run, it's not so much the transition isn't a 5 point, where you're going to protect the ball. And he sometimes has the ball loose. So holding the ball when you're a running back versus holding it when you're trying to throw it and then just tucking it in, it's a lot looser. And I've known that because I fumbled before doing that. I thought we were all coming with pitchforks and torches for Dable. Yeah, it's unfortunate what has happened in Buffalo. There's always everyone always wants to try to find somebody to blame. And Dable is the primary suspect now because when you have an offense or a defense that's giving up 16 points a game, they're third in the NFL, and you're 6-3, and you're a 6-3 team, and you're questioning it. You're actually questioning what's going on. Paul? Are you back? Is that what's going on now? Is Paul back? Let me check. Oh, hello, sir. Good to see you again, Paul.
It's not my fault.
How is it not your fault?
I would just like to point out that clearly bringing up game film while we're doing this is a mistake.
Yeah. Apparently,
yeah.
I tried to get it as like we had. What is a broadcast of ours without technical difficulties, Paul? I mean,
oh, Mario, man, you should see what it was looking like when you
when it went out of it. Yeah, I'm fine. We're fine now.
Okay, all right.
You got a clear shot of my snowy white beard for a little while. So
John Marlowe, the band is back together. You're damn right. So while I was gone, what'd you guys talk about?
How you love drinking strawberry Fanta, and how you just loved how warm that Tom Brady jersey felt on you when we went in the car that one time.
God, I cannot wait for Christmas.
No, we were just talking about
come up with the best Christmas present for you. I'm so excited.
The squad shirt's going to be kind of hard to top. But here's the thing that we talked about when you were gone, Paul. We were talking about why is Allen fumbling so much, and I just described quickly that when you're a quarterback and you're holding the ball as a thrower and you go to tuck it, you're not doing the 5 points of like a running back does. So sometimes it's susceptible to fumble. And I know that from personal experience. I've had that happen to me. But, a lot of things that go on, like everyone's talked about the pitchforks for Dable. Mm-hmm. And it's easy to blame him because of the defense giving up like just over 16 points a game. And I understand that. Sure. There are some things that need to be a little bit crisper on what he's doing. I know that. He knows that. But it's not all on him. I mean, the blame, I'm more interested in how they're going to fix it rather than blaming everyone else what's going on. I really am. That's my focus at this point as a fan. Okay, you're 6-3. You're in a driver's seat. You probably didn't think you were going to be 6-3 at this point as you were developing with all these new players. However, you are. And you got the city's hopes up. And playing like a team that was 6-2 going into the game, maybe they thought, hey, we're supposed to be more crisper than we are, and we're not. Instead of just learning, I think if they came into that game 3-6, they probably would have, or 2-6, they probably would have played loose like Cleveland did. I really think they would have. So. Right.
Well, here's where I get a little caught up with the offense, right? So Andre Roberts and Isaiah McKenzie. First off, we know Isaiah McKenzie is active because of his ability behind the line of scrimmage and the looks that he gives Buffalo from an offensive game point, right? From an offensive plan perspective. But Isaiah McKenzie and Andre Roberts, that ball that was thrown to Andre Roberts was perfect last game. It was perfect, and he went after it like he was fielding a punt, right? Just a mechanical breakdown. I don't know what the hell he was doing, but the fact that we remain, having them both active and we have Duke sitting on the sidelines, is actually starting to become a point of frustration for me because Roberts is one dynamic returner, right? But it's starting to get frustrating for me having them both active because I think Duke helps the run game. I mean, that's where I am with that. I need to see them run the football effectively. Numbers say that Bills versus Browns, that they ran the ball effectively, right? The numbers tell us they ran it effectively, despite what Brian Dable was saying in press conferences afterwards. Devin Singletary averaged 5.3 yards a carry. His longest carry was 10 yards on 8 attempts. They were running the ball fine. They ran the ball.
They were running the ball fine, and they need to do that a little bit more.
Right.
Is it something that it's the perfect storm, Paul, that we just keep thinking of? Like when Allen finally does make a great read, puts the ball on time, puts it right in the guy's kitchen, he drops it, or is it just? I mean, for me, if I was in this offense, seeing what I've seen from the film and everything else, Beasley would be my first read every time. I would try to get as many defenders away from Beasley as I could. Now, we had a comment a little bit earlier. Mario has to wear a Zay Jones Raiders jersey number 12. If I ever wore a jersey number 12 from the Raiders, it would be Ken Stabler. Let's put it that way. Kevin Barbato, he said, it's just a bad system for the personnel. Whereas a lot of the popular opinion right now is that it's not a system for Allen. The receivers in this system are fine. I mean, the EP system doesn't require that you to have a bona fide number one wideout. It really doesn't. It's a concept based system that works a lot on crossing routes, rub routes, like those pick plays. A lot of those things to get guys open in space and just to take what the defense gives you. It's not a very home run offense like a West Coast or an Air Coryell. It's really not. It's just intended for teams that play in bad weather to move the chains. That's what it's designed to do. And Paul, while you continue that point, I'm going to go back to the comments section that I had earlier today, because we did have some questions that I posed and some people responded. So let's answer those really quick before we get to the chat as well.
On the community tab?
Absolutely, sir. Yes.
Working hard. All right.
Yep. So if we go here, Nomo Screen comes in and says, I'm the new offensive coordinator. Welcome to the Bills, Nomo. That's great. Do you guys think other teams look at our sack numbers and just aren't worried about getting sacked? This is Chad. I think he's in the chat too as well. Thanks, Chad, if you are. Why is it so hard for us to stop the run up the middle? It's starting to...
That's the important one right there.
Yep. Starting to get worrisome. Will Allen ever connect on the deep ball again, and who will be on the receiving end of that? I mean, Robert Foster played 16 plays against the Browns, and he caught one pass and was targeted a few times. We talked about it as far as the defensive system that's set up that Leslie Frazier has. It's a 2 linebacker system with 4 defensive linemen. It requires more of them to try to shed blockers to stop the run because it's a nickel. You're playing a nickel. What does it do? It's really good against the pass. Anybody that wants to pass, if that's your base set, you got a nickel corner in there. You got a guy to guard the slot. You got a guy to do a bunch of things. You have guys somewhat generating pressure up the middle in the quarterback's face, and you have fast linebackers that can go cover hook to curl. That's what you have. However, when you take a linebacker out, you're susceptible to the run. Everybody knows that now. So what guys are doing against the Bills, they're bringing 6-7 guys inside, tight ends, whatnot, motioning guys in. And these guards are getting second level on Milano and Edmonds, and holes are opening up. So unless they go back, they're trying to force the Bills to play back to a base 4-3, and they're just simply refusing to because they don't have enough linebackers to do so. In my opinion, I mean, we saw what happens when you put Lorenzo on the field for a sustainable amount of time at a linebacker role. He's much more comfortable and much more effective moving forward in his career than he is moving sideways.
Yep. G-Rock says, will the real Jerry Hughes please stand up?
That's pretty
awesome. I mean, the truth of the matter is that McDermott and Frazier aren't exactly known for putting up sack monsters, right? It's not exactly a calling card, but oftentimes you'll see their entire defensive line will have 6, 7, 8 sacks across the whole defensive line. Each player will have 5, 6, 7, 8 sacks, right? We're not seeing that this season. But I really, really, and I truthfully feel this, and we've talked about this a little bit in the comment section on some of the other videos. People have brought it up. And you take a look at the things that Tremaine Edmonds did great in college, right? He was a very effective blitzer because he's fast, right? He has great bend because he was able to leverage around tackles, right? Um, his vision wasn't great, so having him outside wasn't really that big of a deal. Sometimes he'd lose the cutback lane to get a little bit set up in the wash, but you can live with that every now and again, right? From an outside linebacker, it happens, right? You look at the things that he did really well, and now you're going to take him and move him inside. Well, you're eliminating all his attributes from a bend perspective when you move him inside, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're asking to stay stagnant instead of going forward. Like you're just talking about Lorenzo Alexander's great moving forward at this point in his career. Well, so is Tremaine Edmonds, right? That's where he's an effective playmaker, is when he can commit. As soon as you ask him to be patient, he's struggling with that right now. Everything that he did in college that made him the pick that he was, when you put him inside at middle linebacker, it kind of negates those advantages that Tremaine Edmonds has naturally playing the linebacker position by asking him to play inside. So, he gets really tall when he goes into those gaps, which makes him a little bit easier to defend. He gets sticky, he gets caught up in the wash. And when we say getting sticky, that means he gets in with the guard and he doesn't disengage the blocker.
Yes.
An offensive lineman comes in, he doesn't disengage the blocker.
It's tough. It's tough for him.
Yeah, it is. And I'm not telling you that that's easy.
No.
Right? That's certainly not the case. But in college, that wasn't really a massive issue for him, right? Because he was typically able to, with his speed, make things happen in the backfield. That's where he's effective. And playing middle linebacker, that's not the case. And unfortunately, the reason you're seeing the Bills getting so gashed is because they're not playing three linebackers. You want to stop the run, you put three linebackers on the field. Lorenzo Alexander doesn't count anymore, right? Just because he has a linebacker next to his name on NFL.com, it does not mean that that's the position he plays any longer.
Very true. Very true. He's more of a hybrid lineman. They don't really have a spot for him.
Right.
And I thought the first quarter of the season he was one of the MVPs of the defense and what he was able to do in there, because they were getting teams in third and longs. They were getting teams in a lot of third and longs because they weren't running the ball. Now it seems like the book's out on Buffalo, what they have to do. And I have confidence that it's weird because we talk about Daboll with the offense or Frazier with the defense. I have a lot more confidence in Frazier to fix what needs to be fixed, because he's actually had an in-game adjustment against Washington where he fixed it. I mean, they ran for Peterson ran all over him the first half. In the second half, he had
like 100 yards in the first half.
Yeah, he had 18 yards in the second. You know what I mean? It was it was amazing.
Well, I saw in the comment section, Grendel says the defense isn't looking to intercept enough. Do you think they're playing more man than they have previously? Because I really feel like I'm seeing more man coverage than I have from Buffalo previously.
Well, they're blitzing more. I think it's just because they're blitzing more. I think what they do is they have to try to generate pressure. They don't want to leave their nickel package. They don't want to get out of their nickel package. So what are they doing? They're bringing Poyer off the edge. They're bringing Teron Johnson off the edge. And what happens is you happen to expose a lot of the guys that you have. I remember we talked about it extensively. When you try to compare Levi Wallace and Trey White, you can't, because one was a first-round pick, another guy was an undrafted free agent. And I think I don't think Trey's as bad as everyone seems, because he had a horrible game. There's no way around it. I mean, Odell Beckham was targeted 12 times and caught 5 passes. That's Trey White right there. Jarvis Landry was targeted 10 times, caught 9 passes. Now, not all of those were Levi. I understand that. However, you're asking a guy. I mean, they're playing against a team in the Cleveland Browns that have 2 number 1 wideouts. That's unheard of. It's unheard of.
Right.
So
and it's one of the reasons why Chubb is having the season that he's having.
Absolutely, because you can't just stack the box against Chubb, and he'll just kill you. So, in that respect, I think that he had a bad game. I think he'll bounce back. I don't think Frazier's thinking about taking him out of there, even though a game like that could mess with a guy's confidence. You got a guy who's a former first-round pick in Kevin Johnson who just can't stay healthy, waiting in the wings to take that spot. He's just waiting right there because you have Teron Johnson. Plus, E.J. Gaines doesn't have a job right now.
Nope. And we talked about that in the preseason.
Yeah.
You know, if you run into cornerback problems later, later in the season, EJ Gaines is going to be available. Nobody's going to touch him, and nobody has. So if you're really concerned about cornerback depth, EJ Gaines is still a free agent. He spent time in the system 2 seasons ago. He spent the preseason with you. Yes, you released him with an injury settlement, but yes, you can re-sign him.
Yeah. Preston.
And there were some questions. There were some questions about did Jordan Phillips really beat Ed Oliver out, right? Or is this just because the Bills are having trouble stopping the run?
Well, if we look at it,
no, Jordan Phillips is really beating Ed Oliver right now.
Is it you asking? Because I think the numbers kind of speak for themselves. I mean, when you talk about just the snap counts, and Oliver, I'll just read him off. He was 65%, 60, 59, 65, 66. Then after the bye, which was week 6, 48, 51, 35, now 33. Now you can make the correlation to say, well, he's not in there as much and they're able to run on them. No, that's not the case. The fact is people are running on them, and the smaller Oliver, who hasn't had an offseason to bulk up to defensive tackle weight, and who may not, because they may move him into DN. Who knows? I really don't know. That's discussion for another day. Point being is this. You have a guy in Jordan Phillips who's more of a run stopper rather than a guy. Like, listen, we need a guy in there that can stop the run. We don't need a guy to rush the passer right now. And that's what Oliver is. That's his main focus is, as he's a rookie and adjusting to NFL offensive linemen, these are men now. I mean, he was playing at Houston just abusing kids. He was a man among boys there. So now he had some time of adjustment. Not that he's a bust. I never want to call a guy a bust until his career's over. I never want to do that. He's just struggling right now. I mean, that's kind of par for the course with Oliver. I'm not worried about him at all. I think if he has an offseason to put on some weight, he'll be fine. I really do.
This was a situation when they picked Oliver where a lot of people were buying on potential.
Yep.
Right. There was a lot of hope, and the same you can give the same hope to people. With Josh Allen entering this season. Oh, this is second year. We saw a lot of things we liked. I hope same offensive coordinator. You're going to be able to develop him. Ed Oliver was a bit of a project. The talent level for him is undeniable. The question is he going to understand the things that are being asked of him? And next season, are they really going to be able to get him out of weight to a position that they're really comfortable with? I really, honestly, and we talked about this before, I really think like you're going to see Ed Oliver more on the exterior of this defense next season, similar to what we see with Shaq Lawson right now. I really, really feel that. I don't love this weight that he's at for a defensive tackle.
No.
Just a little undersized for me.
Here's my Jack Patrick says, I miss Harrison. I miss him too, man. I mean, he just tells you what that part of that rotation and how vital he was in there, because he was a guy who completely had a year under his belt, completely understood the role. If he got 20 tackles in a season playing in the rotation, that would have been a lot for him. Mm-hmm. It didn't matter. It didn't matter for Harrison because he knows what the role is. I think Oliver's still trying to find his feet. I had it up here. Hunter Smith. I still love the play in the preseason where Oliver drove Quentin Nelson back. That was pretty amazing. I remember that.
That's right. That's right.
Yes, Harrison is missed. Oliver will be fine. He just needs to adjust a little more. G-Rock says, Oliver at defensive end sounds awesome. Now, here's my question for you with the tin hat. Okay? Because certain coaches like doing this. Coaches will use the presser to send a message to their team rather than say it in the locker room and do all this other stuff. Yep. McDermott's never given anything. It's like a guy that never yells. You know what I mean? If a guy never yells and then all of a sudden he raises his voice, everyone pays attention. If there's a guy that always yells, shut up. I'm tired of listening to you. Anyway, if he's so tight-lipped and the locker room's so tight and everything that's going on, it's almost like it's a family atmosphere. If he shows his frustration at a press conference, is that enough? Is he doing that on purpose to wake the team up? Or do you think he's just generally this frustrated with the level of his ball club being 6-3 at this point in the season? It's a tough one, right? I don't know if it's tin hat or if it's legit.
Well, I mean, look at the position that he's in, right? So you he's never going to give you anything at a press conference.
No, he doesn't. Nope.
He has to go out there and stand in front of a bunch of people and non-answer questions. right? So for the next 12 minutes, I have to completely dance around. I have to river dance around every question thrown at me. This sounds great, right? And we're what, in week 9? Awesome,
Yeah.
right? And of course, there's going to be some frustration that boils over when it's the same questions that are being asked over and over again. Even when the Bills were winning a lot of football games, which, mind you, they're still 3 games above 500, they're still winning football games, right?
Yes, they are.
Even when they were winning, the questions weren't any different, right? Like, let's be realistic about this. They're like, well, you beat the Jets, but did you really beat the Jets? Oh, well, you beat Miami, but you were losing for, 23 minutes of that football game. Like, the questions weren't any different
No.
when the Bills were winning football games versus when they were losing. If I were Sean McDermott, that tells me that my football team isn't making the progress that I'm intending, because from the outside, nothing is different. Right? We're 6-3, but the questions are still the same, which means people still perceive this team to be the exact same thing it was when we started in week 1. And unfortunately, the difference between week 1 and now is that nice, shiny level of hope that a lot of Bills fans have, it's gone now. It's been tarnished away, and it is just not, you don't have the same level of faith, because you look at the last 9 weeks and you say, okay, well, where am I really? Right? What kind of progress have we made really? And I want to see more Josh Allen, the quarterback, not Josh Allen, the let me make sure I get this 4-yard pass completed. Right? I need to see more Josh Allen, the quarterback. I need to see more. What would be but I need to see them come to realization on players on this roster that perhaps they didn't plan this effectively, right? Because
Yeah.
I really feel like there's some players that are being asked to do things that they're just not going to be successful in. And if they recognize that soon enough, then things in this season could change. Preston Brown is now a free agent. Go get me Preston Brown, because you need to stop the run. The winter's coming, man. The football teams are going to start running that football. Winter is coming. So Preston Brown spent a year in this system. Go get him.
Do it. I do it. I would get Preston Brown yesterday and put him in middle linebacker, and then put Edmonds on the corner.
But they're never. I know we talk about that, and it's all great and shiny and wonderful. But the truth is, they are so committed to him on the inside. They'll never bring in a middle linebacker. It'll never happen.
Bills Mafia Man 55, bring in Duke Williams and run the rock with Singletary. It's interesting. Maybe their opinion of Duke, if it was in the game plan to pass as much as they did, knowing that they were going to stack the box. Now, for either number one, Dable didn't account for that, which he's at fault, or number two, they planned to throw a lot because they thought Cleveland was going to stack the box. Now, what opinion is that of Williams on this team and moving forward if they knew they were going to throw 40 times a game and they didn't play him? They didn't activate him.
Right.
And I only saw one jet sweep.
That was it.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
And you know when that jet sweep was? It was in like a 3rd and 18. It was at some absurd time in the game. We're like, okay, great, thanks for that. God, when did they run that jet? Because I remember watching the game going, really? Now? It was like the 3rd quarter. I was like, really? This is where now we're going to run it? We're going to run it now. Okay.
All right, I'm going to drop something. Yeah, I know. I'm going to drop something on the chat. And you, Paul. I'm going to drop a bomb.
Oh, great. All right.
Because we saw a Matt Milano play behind Ramon Humber for almost 8-9 weeks.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure did.
We've seen, thank you, Chad, #sports making Wednesday night awesome. We've seen how McDermott likes to have his guys earn it. This team is completely healthy. What are the chances we're going to see some rookies come in at some of these positions? We talk about Preston Brown. What about activating a guy off IR for Lee Smith?
Yeah, Jason Kroom? Are you saying Jason Kroom I wouldn't classify as a
Voshan, he just came in the chat. Casey was reading my mind. Voshan Joseph.
Yep. Voshan is somebody that could be activated.
What about a guy that could be activated like him? What about another guy? I mean, Jaquan, what's going on with Jaquan Johnson? Have you heard anything recently about him, or is everything
No.
okay? No, nothing.
Yeah. No, I haven't heard it.
Uh, no, just a thought to throw out there. I mean, we're getting close to the end of the stream. I just wanted to talk just about it briefly because I haven't heard anything. Like I said before, do not consider us a source. I mean, we're just here for your entertainment. We're just here for and our own #nation. Please, I'm just trying to see here. Listen, McDermott likes his guys to earn it. These guys we have not seen yet. You think they've been developing them since they got into camp up until this point. Who knows what happens? Maybe a way to mix it up is to get some new blood in there in the lineup. Who knows? If you want to run a 4 linebacker set and you want to leave Edmonds in the middle, you want to put Voshan Joseph on the outside for Edmonds. I'm not against that, Paul. I'm not against that at all. I would love to see it actually.
Sure. And I definitely see where you're coming from there. Here's where I get a little caught up, right?
Yeah.
So Voshan kind of profiles as a pass rusher.
Yes.
Right. I had very high hopes, and I think a lot of us probably did. I might have been drinking the Kool-Aid a little hard on Daryl Johnson, right? I was probably drinking the Kool-Aid
with good reason. With good reason, he played well, Paul.
Looked great in the preseason. Had to deal with some injury issues so far this season, but I don't think he's given me what I'm looking for just yet. Right. So if I'm looking to activate somebody, Voshan makes a lot of sense because I want to bring a little bit more motor to my pass rush. Because don't get me wrong, I like Jerry a lot, right? But the league knows that you could push Jerry outside, right?
And run right inside of
him. Make him run around you. That's how you stop Jerry Hughes. Just make him run around you. Just make that take a little bit of time. That's how you beat Jerry Hughes at this point. Because he's not a power rush guy. He's not going to bull rush you. He's not going to bull you over. So, and you don't have that. And that was kind of the one thing about the McDermott defenses that I always really liked was the fact that the ends weren't necessarily super fast guys. They would just kind of the pocket would just slowly collapse around you, right? I wouldn't consider Charles Johnson a speed rusher, right? No. Julius Peppers played in Carolina forever, so you just kind of have to excuse everything that was Julius Peppers.
Yeah.
But Greg Hardy was just an animal. He was just a bull rush guy, right? But that pocket would just slowly collapse around you. And there's no player like that playing defensive end for the Bills this season. That kind of fits that profile. You're not asking them to do that. Shaq Lawson is the closest you have to a crumpling defensive end, and he's not even going to be here next season.
Yeah, probably not.
So, right.
Yeah, but I'm just saying because we know Bean heavily values draft capital.
Yeah, big time.
And he puts a lot of stock in the guys that he's drafted to develop and come in. What better time than week 10, week 11, than to have Joseph come in? Maybe deactivate Lee Smith, bring in Joseph. Let's see how he does. Let's get him some reps. If this is a guy that's part of your future, if you don't think you're going to be able to sign a few guys here and there, and Joseph is one of those guys that like he was a project, but he's learning, why not? I mean, I know we didn't touch very much. I mean, we touched about the Browns a little bit earlier in the broadcast, and we haven't really touched very much on the Miami game. We will do that on Saturday morning, exclusive to Sportscaster broadcast that we have, but I mean, that's a team coming in here that's riding a 2-game win streak. Fitzpatrick is playing well. The whole team's playing well. It's a division game. They're going to be up for it. They're going to be home. It's not going to be a walk in the park. I know that. This team was beating you 14-9 at the first meeting, so at halftime, and it took a Micah Hyde 360 circle button spin move catch out of the air in return for you to seal that game, 31-21. So I'm not comfortable with this week. I'm really not, and I'm not being pessimistic either, Paul. I'm just not comfortable. What's up, Muhammad Ali? Good to see you.
This is also the second week in a row the Bills have had really no players listed on the injury report.
None.
Lorenzo Alexander and Ty Nsekhe are just on rest days. Do you want to know how many players for Miami are on the injury report this week?
8.
What, 8?
Yeah.
Plus 10.
18?
They've got 18 guys listed on the injury report.
Oh, so Flores has picked up a few things from Belichick, is what you're saying?
We just list everybody.
Yeah, you just put everybody.
Yeah. Now, mind you, there were guys that were full participants that are listed on the injury report because they were listed as having an injury. But of guys that did not participate or limited participants, of the 18, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Only 7 of them do not participate or limited. The rest were full participants. So you see people saying Miami's really banged up. Miami's not exactly banged up. Their injury report's pretty inflated with 18 guys on there, but 7 of them were actually the only ones that weren't full participants.
Yeah.
So don't believe that when people say that.
That could be another reason why McDermott's so upset. Because him and Bean have put together, completely flipped the roster. I think there's only 3 guys here that were here before, and they're all healthy. So it's not like you can use the excuse of, hey, well, this guy's hurt, or else we would do this. This guy's hurt. You have 100%. I mean, well, now no one's 100%, but as of the report, your team is healthy. You're 6-3. You're struggling in certain areas of your game.
Yep.
You have no excuses. So that's probably what's so frustrating.
The one thing that kind of gets me about Josh Allen's vertical game, right? Because people are saying, well, Allen hit these throws last year. Okay. Well, I mean, he hit one. If he hit one, he's hitting more than he's hit this year. He's like 0 for 16 on passes over 30 yards. So,
yes.
I mean, there's a problem. But on vertical passes, I don't see good ball flight, right? And I know that sounds a little weird. So walk with me for a second here.
I'm here.
When you're talking about golf, right? You talk about launch angle, you talk about trajectory, and certain angles that make the ball descend the way that you want, right? Depending on weather conditions and things like that. In football, it's actually not that much different, right? So Josh Allen, when he's throwing these passes, right? When you throw a pass 65 yards downfield, but it never gets higher than 30 feet off the ground, that's the window to catch that pass is so small, right? That ball has to be just simply perfect because your receiver doesn't have the ability to adjust to that, because 30 feet off the ground on a 65-yard pass is barely off the ground for that kind of pass, right? So talk to me a little bit about trajectory, because when I watch Allen's vertical game, it's not a distance thing to me. It's a trajectory thing, because he's throwing those balls on a rope. And I know when quarterbacks get to struggling, they just try and do everything harder and faster, right? And he knows that he hasn't had any of these passes. So the effort juice is certainly flowing.
Yeah.
But trajectory to me is the reason these long passes aren't connecting. It doesn't have anything to do with he's just missing them. It's the trajectory of the balls. Had them been thrown a little higher, you'd see receivers have the ability to adjust to these.
Yeah. He's got a little bit of the Kaepernick disease, where he just threw fastballs all the time.
Yeah,
everywhere. He had a really tough time with touch. But this is nothing new of where Josh Allen was when he came out of college. Everyone knew he had a cannon for an arm, and he had trouble putting air under the ball. I still believe, and I will continue to believe, that last year when he got hurt, when he hurt his elbow and he came back, he was still hurt. I think the reason why he was able to hit some of them deep balls last year was he was taking juice off the ball. And now he happens to be healthy, and he's, whether he's overthinking it, whether the grip on the ball is too tight. Sometimes when you get jacked up, you grip the ball a little too tight. And from playing baseball, if you hold a baseball like an egg, and if you try to squeeze the heck out of it, you're not going to throw the pitch that you want to throw. Right. That too, and his platform. So a lot of times with Allen's platform, he gets that wide base that we showed a couple times. Now, because of his arm strength, he could throw a 15-yard out with a wide base and hit it. Now, will he hit that 2 out of 10 times? I don't know. But if you're trying to throw a ball that's supposed to have some air underneath it and drop in the bucket, and you have a wide base, it's incredibly tough to do that. So he's more he's not taking enough off of the throws that he's going deep with, because it could be a mental thing too, Paul. He's probably thinking about it so much Like, I got to hit this one. And everything tightens up on him. And, I mean, that's more of the mental aspect of why he's not doing it and why the angle seems to be off. But he's not throwing on schedule quite a bit. And we said at the onset of the broadcast, I would love to see Allen under center more. I mean, I think that would help a lot of the timing routes that go on, because it's, what are you smiling at? What are you,
Mikey Mike, Paul looks like he just stepped out of a time machine from 1989.
he's wearing, he was hanging out with Michael J wearing sneakers and jeans. That's what. Marty. No, I think I would love to see him go under center a little bit more, because I think the platform that he throws and the timing of the routes, I think would all develop a little bit more. Now, he doesn't necessarily have to run play action on all those, but that's what I would like to see more out of. I don't know. In the shotgun, the timing is so different. The timing is so different. You could have the exact same route concepts, do it out of shotgun and do it from under center, and the timing is so different just from those two. And for a second-year quarterback who played in a West Coast offense at Wyoming, it's a little different for him. It's going to be a little different. So, to me,
but isn't that a Dorsey thing? Like, isn't that what he's here for?
he is, which is, we haven't mentioned him, and a lot of the development that goes on with him. That's why I haven't been screaming for Dorsey to be the OC, because if he can't develop, now Dable's not known for developing any quarterback in the NFL. He's not known for that.
Right.
Dorsey, everyone likes to say he worked with Cam Newton. Well, Cam Newton's a physical freak. I mean, a lot of things that Cam does, you don't coach. You can't coach. But
right.
I don't. Do I see a lot of improvements on Allen from last year? Yes. Do I see some things that are regressing? Yeah, I do. So it's almost like a pick your poison thing with him. I don't know. Mikey Mike, turtlenecks and old Sandlot hat. You guys are the absolute best. I swear to God. Oh my God. Let's just put it this way. Success for Allen, from my standpoint, isn't him throwing for 300. Let me just get that out of the way right now. I would like to see him get off of his first read. His pre and post snap be different. And you could tell that from a quarterback's head. From when he looks around, he makes his pre-snap, moves the guy with his eyes, throws backside, does all that stuff. I want to see that this game. That's what I want to see. You got a perfect opponent to do it against, because this is the defense, pretty much, quote unquote, that you're going to see when you have to play the Patriots later in the year. So we'll see what happens. Welcome to Believers Talk. My name is Joe. Jack Patrick.
Yeah. All one word.
It must have took a minute to type all that. Freshly fried. Paul, you'll shoot your eye out.
You guys are great. I love you so much. Mike Sellers, why do we draft this guy that everyone knew was a project and not get someone who could help develop him? A little misnomer about developing a quarterback, right? So, like everybody, I'll just give you an example, right? We'll talk about RG3.
Yeah.
When he was with Mike Shanahan, his first couple seasons. Everybody talked about RG3 after his rookie season, saying, you know what, they're using his skill set to be an effective offense. They're really developing him, right? Because they were giving him opportunities to be successful. We see Lamar Jackson doing the same thing, but you have to look at the rope on how long can something like that really last. You know, and I know people talk about Lamar. We should have drafted Lamar Jackson. Well, I think the scope on his career is a lot smaller than Allen, but I also think that they're using the things that Lamar Jackson naturally does a lot better than what the Bills are doing naturally with Allen. We know that Allen doesn't read the field great, so why would you install a system that requires your wide receivers to adjust routes based on coverage, right? If Allen doesn't see things well, why in God's name would you make the receivers responsible for making the decisions on the routes?
Why would you?
Because that's going to make Allen late to every party.
Why would
He's going to be late every window.
Why would you put 5 of them in the route?
Right.
Well, I don't understand. Like, I am comfortable giving him half field reads if you wanted to do that, to develop him to going, you know, and everything else. I think some of them them naked bootlegs that they have a levels concept where they have a guy short, middle, and long. That's fine.
Yeah.
You pick your poison, Josh, and if it's not there, just run. That's well. There's nothing wrong with that play every once in a while. Grendel, Josh is 6'5". How can he not see the field? I'm talking about going through your progressions in a manner where you have that internal clock inside your head, 1,001, 1,002. I got to get the ball out. You know what I mean? Something's going to happen here. Whereas last year, like we talked about before, it's a one read and out. Boom. You don't see it, go.
Right.
And
well, I also don't. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mo.
No. I'm saying it's tough because he's trying to. You could see him trying to learn what he needs to do and get off his first read, get off his second read. I just think that the timing he has in his head, he gets off the first read too fast, or he stares him down, the ball gets knocked down. He doesn't know which guy he wants to move post snap, because like if he sits there and he has a single high safety right in front of him, his pre-snap read is either that's either cover one man or it's cover three. And then the safeties rotate as he's going through his cadence. Now the guy that he had to look off isn't in the spot of the field where he had to look him off now. Now he's doing this. So it's going to take time. It's really going to take time. But you got to remember now, Allen's future is tied to both Bean and McDermott, because he's their guy. And we all know when you get your guy, if it doesn't work out, it's a package deal. You're gone.
Typically. Yeah, typically speaking. And the Bills, and Bean and McDermott got the luxury of, letting Tyrod Taylor go to get Josh Allen, right? So that is just the way that it is. Typically, you're absolutely right. It is a package deal. 100% right on that. And when it comes to processing things on an NFL football field, things move at a mile a minute. But there's an art form to moving coverage, and I don't think Josh plays the part of an actor well when I think he telegraphs very cleanly when it's going to be a run play, right? Like he's not moving protection, he's not changing routes on a run play, right? He's making checks when it's a pass play. Right, but when it's a run play, it's clear as day. Just watch Josh Allen pre-snap.
Yeah,
you can tell
his body language is huge, man.
Yeah, you can tell he doesn't play the role of the actor well enough. And in order to move coverage, that team has to be buying what you're selling. And sometimes you're going to move guys over just because you want to buy your set. Your primary read, the route's a little bit longer, so you want to give them a second to get open. So you're going to try and move coverage away from them, right? It's all part of the art form.
Well, he's not comfortable in the offense, Paul. He's not comfortable with the offense enough to do the acting job that he has to. Maybe he doesn't grasp the whole concepts of the offense. Maybe he doesn't trust the concepts of the offense. Why are you getting roasted in the comment section, by the way?
I love it. It's so I'm gonna have to go back and watch this video afterwards and just scroll through the
Muhammad Ali. Paul has a Walkman, tape deck, and headphones. Simpson comes in. Kieran Simpson says, Paul looks like he's just going to say F it and start breakdancing. You wore a jacket one episode, and everyone says, like, Mario, thank you for taking time to take Paul to a swim lesson.
I know.
It was so great.
With my orange slices.
Paul is a ham radio.
You guys are brutal.
I'm done. We gotta get out of here. We gotta get out of here for tonight. Oh my God. I got some film to break down. Paul has some
turtlenecks to iron. Yeah.
Turtlenecks to iron. I am officially done. Yes. Yeah. Paul about to bust a move. Absolutely. Oh, God. You know, that turtleneck that he's wearing right now was a compression sleeve that I had. That's how small it is. I'm just kidding. You're the man. Madden. Okay. So just to let you know, the guys that joined the stream, everyone that joined the stream tonight, thank you for joining us once again. Please, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. If you've been here, hit the like button. We have a bunch of wristbands that are getting sent out this week. We have our
And
more news. What?
again,
Again, yeah. We have more news on our giveaway that we're gonna have. We're gonna pinpoint the four games that we have that we're going to do this giveaway to try to raise money for the Punt Foundation. We're working in conjunction with 26 Shirts and David Adams. There's going to be a video this week that you guys are going to check out. It'll probably be, if not tomorrow, it'll be Friday morning. I'll have for you guys the video for the promotion that we're doing. Friday film room we'll have. My brother will be joining me once again. We're going to break down the Browns game and also break down the first Bills Miami game. So a lot of things that could happen once again down in Miami from the first game. And then Saturday will be our Sportscaster exclusive pregame. And I think that's all I got until Joe is going to be calling the game on this Sunday, the 17th, for the Miami game. And then Paul and I will be calling the next game at Denver. Will be the 24th is the next time Paul and I will be calling the game play-by-play. And we have a very special treat for you when that happens. So for all of you that joined the stream tonight, we want to thank you once again. We are going to be releasing a lot of our episodes on Spotify and iTunes within the next couple of weeks. So you guys have been calling for it, and I'm going to give it to you. So, Paul, I can't with all these. I can't with all these, Paul. Again.
Paul will be on the stream tomorrow night after his Magic the Gathering tournament. Ground control to Major Paul.
I played D&D too. Paul looks like he's going to ref a Fortnite tournament.
Is Paul wearing LA gears? Paul looks like Bartman sitting at the Cubs game. God, this is pure gold, guys. I don't think you understand how long this will live. Paul's wearing a turtleneck because he has a hickey from Goosey. Thanks so much.
God, I'm so done. This is so great. This is payback from all the roasting you've done of me in the chat.
Somebody said I have a giraffe neck. I saw that earlier.
You look like that one picture when Drew Brees got hit. It's like a couple of years ago. His neck looked like it was this big. And you know what a lotus is.
I do.
I'm so done. All right, nation, we're out of here. You guys enjoy your Thursday. We'll talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.